Welcome to Moments with Marianne. I'm so delighted we're spending this time here today. We have a very inspiring show coming right up with special guest Tammy Mastroberte, and she's here to share with us her new book, The Universe is Talking to You. Tap into signs and synchronicity to reveal magical moments every day. Now, Tammy's a founder of Elevated Existence LLC and the publisher of the award-winning Elevated Existence magazine. She hosts on a regular basis online and in-person workshops and releases weekly YouTube videos teaching a range of body, mind, spirit topics. Tammy was a featured expert in the films Dream Big and The Truth About Prosperity. So let's welcome to the show Tammy Mastroberte.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. You know, it's such an honor to have you here and to talk about your new book. I am so excited. I've got to ask you, I'd love for you to share your journey with us because I know it was a tough journey. It had a tough start.
Yes, absolutely. So I'd be happy to. Basically, my spiritual journey started early in life. I was raised Catholic, but sort of fell out of that, and it really ignited when I was 22 years old with the sudden death of my mother from a brain aneurysm 3 days after Christmas in 1999. And that really launched me, like I think it does so many people, you know, whether it's a death in the family, whether it's a diagnosis, whether it's a divorce, all the D's, basically. They really they get you thinking and they get you looking for more, and that's what happened to me. And so I started searching for more, and I started looking for information and reasons and meaning and understanding. And it really started, what started coming together for me was my sister pushing me to go see a medium. His name was George Anderson. He's still around today, but this was she died in 1999, and I always say this was before mediums were on television, and it was more of a, mainstream thing, and everybody had heard of it. At the time, I thought this guy was like the only person in the world that had this ability, and he was showing up everywhere after she died. And it turned, and looking back now, I remember my mother knew about him before she died. And after she passed, he really showed up everywhere. And my sister kept saying to me, look, he's on TV. Look, I heard him being interviewed on a radio station. I think Lifetime did a special on him. Primetime did a special on him where they hooked him up to machines to see what his brain waves were like when he was doing readings, like all this stuff. And my sister just kept saying to me, there was no closure. We have to go. And she eventually convinced me to do it. This was before, you could pay for things through PayPal and do things online, so everything had to be done by mail. And I basically, at the time, right before she died, I was actually struggling with an eating disorder, and I was not in a great place. I had just started getting to a better place, and then she passed away. So it was sort of like, what cosmic joke is happening to me at the time. And so we decided, okay, we're going to do this. So we went online, we printed out the paperwork, we had to mail it in, we had to send a money order, it was a whole thing. And being the skeptical Virgo that I was and still am in some ways, I just lied about everything. Like, we filled out the paperwork and we put somebody else's name and we put another friend's work email or work phone number, just a whole bunch of information that really in our minds we thought, okay, this can't connect him and he can't do research or whatever. And that's what we did. And then 10 months later, we wound up going to the appointment. And it was an hour appointment. I still have the tape recording of it because he allowed us to record it. And honestly, it was such a pivotal, changing moment for me because without a doubt, I left that reading knowing without a shadow of the doubt that he was speaking to my mother and that life goes on, and just a whole new world opened up to me. And that's what really started me searching and finding answers and understanding, like, what happens after we die, and, you know, what's the meaning of everything and what's going on. And so that was really my jumping off point to getting to where I am right now.
So what was it like sitting across from George on that couch and listening to him? You know, what was that experience? What did it feel like for you?
We were excited in the beginning because of the thought that, oh my gosh, this is so amazing if we can actually hear from our mother. But we were nervous, and I'll never forget that when he first started talking right away, the first thing he said, after he said, you know, don't give me any information, just say yes, no, or you understand. He was like, a woman enters the room followed by another woman and a man, which turned out to be my mother's parents. And right away we were like, oh my God. And you can hear on the tape within minutes, probably seconds even really, we were both hysterically crying. And we just sobbed on and off throughout the entire hour because it was like so unbelievable to be able to hear what she has to say about what happened, about what was going on in our lives now. I mean, she gave information in that reading that I still think about today, that I still go back to and say, my mother said X, Y, and Z. So it was so much more than just confirming, hey, I'm still around you and I'm still, you know, I haven't gone anywhere just physically, but it gave so much hope and so much faith and so much more to us than just that proof that life goes on.
I love the part in your book where you talk about where George hands your sister a framed picture of the Blessed, you know, Mother and says you need more of this in your house.
Yes, it was so funny. He, at the end of the session, he was like, wait a minute, I have something for you. He's like, a lot of times I'm driven to buy things and I know it's probably going to be for a reading, but I never know what it is, so I just take it with me when I do readings. And he handed my sister the picture of the Blessed Mother because even before she died, my mother would say to her, you know, you need more, you know, I grew up with, you had to cross over your bedroom door and you know, in everybody's bedroom, and not that it was all over, but she had it in the house. And so my sister didn't have that. And she would always say to her, like, you need more, you know, symbols in your house. So that was hysterical. And then he gave us both a prayer card of a prayer that she used to say. And we were just blown away. And we were even more blown away because my mother was so devoted to the Blessed Mother. Her mother was very devoted. It was a big thing in our family. Like, if we wanted, you know, outside, if we were planning a party outside, you know, a graduation party or a birthday party or something like that, and she wanted the weather to be good, she would literally take the Blessed Mother statue and put it in the window. Like, it was a big thing in our family. So for him to touch on that was mind-blowing to us at the time.
I'm sure, because there's no way he could have known how deep a connection your family has to that.
Exactly. And that's why we were like, okay, I don't care how much you would, you know, even today with the internet, right? I don't care how much you're going to Google, you're not going to find information like that. So, yeah, it was incredible. It really, really was. And it just set me off on a whole new path.
And so why don't you share with our listeners, you know, what kind of happened in your life next? Because I know you started a magazine.
Yes. So I went, first I started researching. I read all the books about George Anderson because there was books written about him. I read the book that he had written at the time. He now has written several books after that. And just interestingly enough, one thing after another, which I talk about in my book, The Universe is Talking to You, everything is leading us somewhere, right? So one thing after another sort of led me forward to different things. And I was eventually led to Dr. Wayne Dyer one night in years ago. I was kind of just searching for more direction, searching for something to hold on to, and I was literally woken up in the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep. I turned on the TV, and boom, there was Dr. Wayne Dyer on a PBS special talking about his book, The Power of Intention, and his words resonated with me so deeply that I ordered the book, and again was a turning point. And Dr. Dyer who I got to interview years later, which was amazing. He led me, listening to a podcast by him. He started talking about Deepak Chopra and the Chopra Center. And I realized, oh my gosh, I always thought that there was just the Chopra Center in California, which I believe there only is now. But at the time, back in 2007, they had one in New York. And I thought, oh my gosh, I was working in New York City at the time. And so that led me to go online and start looking into that. And I realized they had a seminar there. And that led me to thinking about, should I go to this perfect health retreat? They're teaching meditation. I've never learned, the formal practice. I've tried meditating on my own, but I've never actually learned a type of meditation. And again, I talk about the whole story in my book where one thing after another, I wound up getting a coupon in the mail when I wasn't sure if I want, a coupon via email that wasn't from the Chopra Center that said, here's $400 off of a program. And I was like, oh my gosh, maybe this is a sign. Someone wants me to go. I wound up going, and then going to that in 2007 not only taught me meditation, which opened me up so much, but it also, I left that retreat knowing that I wanted to work for myself in some capacity because of all the meditation sessions we did there. I sort of just left with this knowing of, I want to do more of this and I want to learn more of this, and I don't want to just squeeze it into my 2 weeks vacation every year for work. And I left with that. And then a year later, when I decided to finally start the magazine, it was that contact at the Chopra Center. It was the spa director there that actually helped me get Deepak Chopra on the cover of the magazine. So literally one thing after another, not knowing at the time that I was being directed and guided, led me to starting the magazine, to, and I'm giving you a Cliff Notes version of it, but led me to starting the magazine, led me to getting Deepak Chopra on the cover, because I knew if I'm starting an online magazine and nobody knows who I am, I need to get somebody on the cover that's recognized so that people will download that first issue. And that's what happened. And from there, it's just sort of spiraled into getting celebrities. And now it's been, my gosh, I think we're on 11 years, and it's been incredible. It's absolutely been incredible. And again, at that time when I started the magazine, no idea I was going to write a book, no idea I was going to become, a teacher myself. I just wanted to get this information out there. I just felt like I was getting so much help from what I was learning, and it was changing my life, and it was changing me. And I worked in the magazine industry, so wouldn't it be cool if I could take that part of my life, that training that I have in magazines, and be able to marry it with this amazing spiritual tools that I was learning and this information that's helping me to be able to put that out there? That would be awesome. And that's sort of, how it all, and again, just me even being in magazines is what led me to create the magazine. So, and what I love about it is, yes, my stories are crazy and incredible, and I share so many incredible and crazy stories in the book, but we all have these in our life. It's just that we haven't been taught how to find them and haven't been taught how to recognize them.
When did you decide or realize that signs and synchronicity were something that you really need to pay attention to?
Well, signs for me started with my mother passing, because I immediately started getting signs from her pretty quickly. And my sister and I believed in it. And we believed in it because my mother had believed in it about her parents who had passed. So it was something that we were already open to. And I started getting signs from her, and I started sharing with people, oh, this crazy thing happened, or you're not going to believe this, and whatever. And people would always say to me, Tammy, oh my gosh, you're so lucky. You hear from your mother so often. I don't get signs from my mother or my father or my sister or whomever. And I would always think, in the beginning, I used to think, yeah, maybe I am lucky. Maybe my mom's like this powerful being, right? I don't know. And then I started realizing, no, that's not the case. I think these other people are getting them. They have to be getting them. They're missing them. And so that started sort of percolating in my head. It's like, why am I getting them and other people aren't getting them, and what's going on? And for synchronicity, the first time I really opened up to it was that example that I gave you with Deepak Chopra. Is I sort of sat there once the magazine was out and thought, oh my gosh, like, thank goodness I went to that perfect health retreat. And then thank goodness that I listen to that podcast with Wayne Dyer. And like, I just kept going back and saying, oh my gosh, if I hadn't gotten that coupon, would I have booked this? Would I have said, okay, I'll spend the money on myself, right? So like all these, and I started realizing I was so guided to go to that retreat so that I would have the contact I needed to get Deepak Chopra on the cover to then take me to where I am now. And all of a sudden I started realizing, holy moly, everything is connected. And I started looking back in my own life, which I teach people how to do, and I started finding all of these connections. For example, 3 months before my mother died, my sister's friend brought George Anderson's book into the house. And we had a whole discussion about him and about the book and about how he could communicate with people who had passed. Now, we didn't know my mother was going to pass, or it might have even been more than 3 months. I can't remember now, but we didn't know she was going to pass that year. We just knew that, this was amazing. We had a whole discussion about it. My mother was saying how she would love to talk to her parents. It was a whole thing. So then when she passed and he started showing up everywhere, my sister was like, Tammy, she knew about him. She's trying to get us to go. So I started realizing, oh my gosh, and by looking back in my own life, I saw so many more connections than I was even aware of, and that's when everything started opening up, and that's when I started teaching it to people, because I thought, wait a minute, this is happening to everybody, and this changes everything. Once you start realizing how guided you are, once you start realizing how much the universe and your loved ones are trying to communicate with you and are trying to guide you, everything changes. You have more faith. You have more joy. You don't get as upset when things happen because you know it's leading you somewhere. And so that's what really pushed me to say, okay, how am I doing this when other people can't do this? How can I break this down for people so that they can start doing it too? And that's what basically led me to start teaching and then eventually to put it into the book.
So what were some of and we won't go through all of them, but like some of the signs that your mother, left you so that people can kind of go, okay, these are the kind of things I should be looking for when I'm looking for signs from my loved ones?
Yes. So oh my gosh, she's done so many different things. But one of the things that I find actually that anybody can think about and use is my mother will use her name, which is Marianne. And then she'll also use her birth date, which is May 9th. So then that date will come through as often 059 or 0509. And I started realizing this because randomly those numbers would show up in places. For example, one of the examples I give in the book is I left my my cordless phone at the time on the floor in my bedroom. And I guess I forgot, and I was walking into my bedroom from out, in the hallway, and I accidentally stepped on it. And I was like, like cursing myself, like, what am I doing? And annoyed that I had stepped on this cell phone, stepped on this cordless phone. And I picked it up, and my foot dialed 0509. And it stopped me in my tracks, and I thought, oh my gosh. And it's something that kept repeating. And so I know my mother's around and just saying hello, and oftentimes it's maybe when I'm going through something in my life, or maybe it's my birthday, maybe it's a holiday, and she's just saying, hey, I'm here, I'm seeing everything that's going on. So that's one thing. And her name she uses a lot. Like, for example, one time I was in the emergency room. My aunt had her gallbladder removed. And she was still getting a fever. And so I said to her, let's just go to the ER, so that they can just take your blood, check your levels, whatever. And so I went with her, and we were sitting in the room, and they had just some random, like, talk show on or something on the TV above me. I wasn't even watching it because I couldn't see it. It was above me. But I'm sitting in there with her, and, she's like, I don't understand why, I hope nothing's wrong, blah, blah, blah. Obviously you're worried, you're in an emergency room. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I hear somebody on the TV say, okay, let's welcome Marianne. And I smiled, and I looked at my aunt, and I go, you're going to be fine. And she's like, what are you talking about? I go, because they just called my mother's name on the thing. She's here. Like, you're good. And then the doctor came in like maybe 10 minutes later and was like, oh, no, everything's fine. Your levels are good. Don't worry about it. And she was fine. So just little things like that. And I think a lot of times people don't recognize that, or they won't see it. Like if I'm watching TV and I just hear my mother's name on television, I smile and say hello to her. And I let her know, hey, I got that message. Because the more you let them know, hey, I got that message, the more they'll then use that sign over and over again, because they're like, oh my gosh, I got through. Like I've been sending 75 million signs and she hasn't gotten it, or he hasn't gotten it. But now she gets it, I'm using that one again. She also uses songs on the radio and a whole bunch of other ways to communicate. But those are two, I think, that a lot of times our loved ones are using and we are missing. It can even be my birthday or a person's birthday that I've seen that happen as well. But my mother uses that 0509. I've accepted it, and so now she'll use it over and over again.
I love that, and it really gives good examples for people to look at and go, gosh, okay, these are some ways that communication can happen. And how exciting is that? Because then you start looking for, okay, how am I getting these communications and trusting those?
Yes. You have to say yes. That's one of the steps that I teach. You have to say yes to the signs, even if you think you've lost your mind, even if you don't want to tell anybody because you're afraid they're going to think you're crazy. You yourself need to accept them, because when you accept them, you're opening the door to more of them. Because I promise you they're happening. There's so many of them happening a day that I'm sure I'm missing and that so many people are missing. But the more that you say yes, the more that you're going to notice, the more that they're going to send, and everything starts to change. And I always say, like, the sign police are not coming after you, and our loved ones are not using, or the universe or our angels, they're not using Morse code. They're not using JavaScript for computers. They're using stuff that you'll recognize. They're using things that will remind you of them, or that have something to do with you. Maybe it's their favorite flower. I had a friend of mine who Donald Duck was her thing with her father, and so when she would see Donald Duck, it would remind her. So they use things that are going to be familiar to you, and once you start allowing that in and accepting it and allowing yourself to just say, I'm going to say yes, even if I think this is nuts, that's when you're starting to open the door for more. And I always say, I'm not a practicing psychic or a medium. I'm not somebody who says, oh, I've communicated with loved ones and this is what they're telling me. I've interviewed tons of mediums. I'm friends with mediums, and so I know how the process works. But a lot of this I have learned through my own experiences and through interviewing other people. So I say to people, if I can do this, you can do this. You don't have to have any experience in anything psychic. This is something that you can learn how to do.
Have you found that paying attention to the signs that you get, and we're going to talk about synchronicities in a moment here, but those as well, has really kind of deepened your connection to your mother's spirit?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Because I have so much faith that she is around me all the time, because I know all I have to do is think about her and she's immediately with me, it completely has made such a difference. And the fact that I'm so open to it, it's been 20 plus years since she's died now, and I still get signs from her all the time. I still get them. Maybe not every day, but I still get the signs. They still come through. And she's gotten crafty and creative too, whereas sometimes she'll send signs through someone else. Like even when I remember when my sister, because they'll come to us through dreams. So I remember when my sister was giving birth, I'm the one that had the dreams about her giving birth and my mother being there and giving that sign to my sister. So it's sort of like she's gone above and beyond in so many ways to get through to me, and she never ceases to amaze me. But it's that connection is not gone, and it has never left, and it's never going to leave. And what she said to me when I was with, George Anderson years ago, she repeated it like 5 times, 6 times. I know physically you want me back. You can't have it that way, but I haven't gone anywhere. I haven't left. I'm closer to you than you can imagine. And through these signs and through these communications, that's what our loved ones are trying to prove to us. They're trying to prove to us, I haven't gone anywhere. Yes, you can't hear my voice. Yes, you can't see me physically, but I'm here and I'm trying to talk to you, and I want you to know it. And that's really what it's about. That's really the whole point of it. And when it comes to the universe and our angels, they are trying to guide us, they are trying to direct us, and they are, in many cases, if we make a wrong turn, they are trying to redirect us back to the right path, and they will never give up. So you will always get the signs to go back, and the more that you can open up to them and realize them, the more fun and magical life becomes every day.
Well, couldn't we all use just a little bit more fun and magic in our everyday lives? Now, on that note, we're going to pause here for a quick break. We've been speaking with Tammy Mastroberte in regards to her new book, The Universe is Talking to You. Tap into signs and synchronicity to reveal magical moments every day. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne. We'll be right back after these messages.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
There comes a moment when you realize you're somewhere special, when you discover that each beautiful creature that you see has been rescued from a life of absolute horror and brought to this incredibly free place. Here's where their lives were forever changed and where yours will as well. Discover over 500 tigers, bears, and lions at the brand new visitor center at the Wild Animal Sanctuary just outside Denver. For more information, visit wildanimalsanctuary.org. Discover true freedom at the Wild Animal Sanctuary.
Have you ever had the sense that your thoughts might actually be doing something? Ancient secrets of manifesting have been masterfully revealed in the award-winning book Manifesting 123 by Ken Elliott. For the first time, the author's experiences and stories in this book describe exactly how your thoughts can create anything. You've been doing this all your life, but it's never been fully explained for you until now. Visit manifesting123.com for more information today. Manifesting123.com.
Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. We're here today with special guest Tammy Mastroberte, and she's sharing with us her new book, The Universe is Talking to You. Tap into signs and synchronicity to reveal magical moments every day. So Tammy, let's talk about synchronicity. I think it's a topic that people get a little confused on. Either they're like, is there science involved? There's no science involved. How do people discern what a sign is and if they can trust it?
So when it comes to synchronicity, I always say the biggest distinction, I guess, between signs and synchronicity is that synchronicity itself, by definition, is the occurrence of two or more events or circumstances that are somehow meaningfully related. So they don't have to have happened in the same day or in the same week, even in the same year, to have some type of meaningful connection. Whereas a sign, a lot of times, is just sort of a one-off occurrence. It's not necessarily something that it might be leading you somewhere or something that might be connected to something else. They do repeat the same way as synchronicity will repeat. Sometimes you'll get a sign that will keep coming, but synchronicity is really that connecting the dots piece where there's two or more actual things that might be connected together. So for me, Wayne Dyer connected me with Deepak Chopra and the Chopra Center, which then connected me with that Perfect Health program, and I got the coupon in the mail that allowed me to, say, okay, I really need to go. This is a sign that I should go. And then that connection there was able, a year later, was able to get me a photo of Deepak Chopra on the cover. So that's sort of the synchronicity of like, this led me to this, led me to this, in that one aspect of the way synchronicity works. But signs are usually, I just say, a one-off occurrence, and synchronicity is really that that two or more that are related or that keep showing up for you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I think it gives our listeners a good place to kind of look at and go, okay, maybe I'm having some synchronistic events that are happening that I really need to be paying attention to.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And actually there's two big clues that can help you to tune in. I say that like if something's, to show you, hey, something might be happening here. And the first one would be if you find something sort of repeating in your life. So I say synchronicity really shows up in three different ways. It's to provide you with reassurance. It's to wake you up to something that maybe you're not paying attention to but would be beneficial. And then it's also to guide and direct you forward, or, again, reroute you if you have to be. But one of the things that is the easiest way to start waking up to something is when you hear yourself or someone else saying things like, oh my gosh, the craziest thing happened, or, oh, this must be my lucky day. This is exactly what I needed and it landed in my lap. Or, I can't believe I was just thinking about this person and they called me. Or, oh my gosh, this strangest, wildest story I have for you. You're never going to believe this. Or, I was just thinking about this and now here it is. Or, oh my God, I needed this solution and it just showed up. Like when you hear yourself saying things like that, that's a clue like, hey, maybe there's something going on, right? Maybe there's somebody else that's involved here that's guiding me to something. Why did this all fall into place? Or why did this person or this opportunity show up at the exact perfect time? That's your angels and your guides and your loved ones and the universe lining things up for you or trying to get your attention. So for, let's say, wake up and take notice, that's happened to me so many times in my life. In the book, I talk about the Kirtan Kriya meditation, which is out of Kundalini Yoga. And I had heard about this for years. I had even written about, different types of mindfulness practices, and it came up. It's come up before. But literally within like 1 week, it came up 3 times for me. And once, this is an extreme example, of course, but one of those, or two out of the 3 of those times happened within minutes of one another. When I was looking in a pile of books that I had to review for Elevated Existence magazine, and I picked up a book, and I literally just flipped open to a random page, and there was the Kirtan Kriya, and I thought, oh, and I had just seen this a couple of days ago in another book I was reviewing. And I thought, oh, there it is again. That's weird. I definitely have to look into this. And then I put the book down and I picked up another book that was a business book, mind you. It had nothing to do with yoga or meditation. And I picked up this book. It was spiritual business, of course, but I picked it up. I opened up the book, and again, staring at me is directions on how to do the Kirtan Kriya. And I thought, like, I got chills. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm going to look it up now. And so, and I teach it in the book because it's an amazingly powerful meditation. So that was like the universe saying, I'm going to keep throwing this at you till you start paying attention. Like, I'm trying to get you to do this. This is going to help you, and then you're going to be able to help other people. So that's sort of that wake up and take notice. So whenever you see something repeating in your life, like, why do I keep hearing the name of this doctor? Or why do I keep hearing the name of this book? Or why do I keep hearing about this particular restaurant? Or whatever it might be, pay attention to that, because the universe is trying to get you to move towards something that's going to be beneficial to you, to move towards something that is going to maybe lead you to where your highest good lies next. And that's really how synchronicity works. And in terms of finding it, I give all sorts of exercises on how to not only find it in your own past, but how to sort of review your day every day to start tracking it so that you can start picking up on it now more so as time goes on in the future.
In your book, you talk about calling in higher help. When did you need to call in higher help in your life, and why is that important?
Oh my gosh, I call in higher help all the time. I call in higher help. First of all, I call in higher help every morning. I always start my day with a prayer, and this started years ago. I call it my morning prayer, which I give in The Universe is Talking to You. And I started this years ago because I thought I just need to collect myself every morning after my meditation, and I need to just call in everybody that I need to call in so that I have the support with me all day. Because the thing is, you're always supported and you're always guided, but you 100% are always supported and guided when you ask for it. So I thought, I'm just going to ask every day and make sure I'm taking everybody with me wherever I go. And so I start my day with it, and I call in all of my angels, my guides, my loved ones who have passed on, and all those in what I call my soul society, which basically, to me, makes up everybody on the other side that could be helping me from this life, from another life, from, whom I've met, who I haven't met, whomever, that I might not even be aware of. And I always say only those of the highest of vibration to be with me today. I ask them to open me up to signs and synchronicity and help me recognize them. I always call in Archangel Michael to surround me and protect me from taking on energy that doesn't belong to me, which is so important for all of us, whether you think you're an empath or not, to protect yourself from taking on energy, because trust me, the energy of people and places is affecting you. And then I always call in Archangel Raphael to just continue on my, I think we're all on a healing journey from something physical, whatever. I always call in Archangel Raphael to continue to heal my body, return it to its perfect state of health, and also I always say, send me to the people, the places, the modalities, whatever I might need in order to help me do that. And then I always leave a section in the prayer for intentions for whatever maybe you're facing that day. So I always say to people, you don't have to get caught up in who specializes in what, although I do include a list of that for people at the end of the book. But that's why I call in the collective in the beginning, right? I call it the collective. So all my angels, all of my guides, they know what they do. They know who they are. And then I will just say, here's what I'm facing today. I might have a meeting. I might be working on, when I was working on this book, I would call in Archangel Gabriel to help me with communication and writing. So whatever I might be facing that day, I will call in help and say, please guide me, please help me make, for the best outcome for the highest good of all. And so I start my day with that. But I also tell people you can call in higher help at any point throughout the day if you're facing something. So if you're struggling to find a solution to something, you can call in higher help. If you are, if someone else is struggling and you don't know how to help them, call in their angels and guides. It is miraculous. I cannot even tell you how much it helps. I've had the most incredible stories from students and people that I've worked with who said, Tammy, I never thought about it. And I would call in so-and-so, and then all of a sudden the solution came to me. I've been struggling with it for 2 weeks, and within 3 hours I had the answer. And the way I look at higher help is non-denominational and also beyond just your angels and guides. So let's say you read Wayne Dyer's books and you're struggling with something on manifestation, or you're struggling in some type of a spiritual way. Call in Dr. Wayne Dyer. Louise Hay has passed on. You can call in Louise Hay if you're struggling with healing, if you're struggling with self-love. If you're trying to invent something, call in Albert Einstein. I had someone who was a photographer, and she was struggling with something with the camera, and she said she took one of my classes on I call it Elevated or Higher Help, and she said, I took your class and I've been trying to figure something out with this camera for 2 weeks, and I couldn't figure it out. And I said, you know what? I'm going to call in the founder of Eastman Kodak, and I'm going to say, listen, I need help. I'm trying to figure something out with this camera for work. Can you please help me? And she said within a couple of hours, an idea came to her that she had not thought of before, and it worked. And she was blown away. And I'm like, that is the power of calling in help. And yes, you can call in anybody because we're all connected. There is no separation. On the other side, there's no religion, there's no separation, there's nothing, right? So we all can call on whomever we'd like to call on, and they are all willing to be there for us. So to me, the universe is talking to you. The dialogue goes two ways, right? Yes, the universe is talking to you, and I want to teach people how to listen, but you also can reach out, right? It's a two-way communication. So you can reach out and ask for the sign. You can reach out and ask for the help, and know that once you ask, the answer is coming in some way.
I love that. I love how, you start to put your trust in spirit, in the signs and synchronicities that you get. And it really, it's showing you that, hey, we're here, we're listening, and we're connected to you.
Yes, absolutely. It literally changes the way you look at everything, and it changes it for the better. And that's what's so amazing and powerful about it. And I had seen it work for me, and I've seen it work for other people. And I thought, I just have to put this out there because it's such a huge piece that literally can change so much for people, that's why I love talking about it. I love teaching about it. I love sharing about it because it's really magical. To me, it's extremely magical.
Yeah, it makes life magical then. And what a better place to be in, when you're looking for these things and they're showing up, these signs and synchronicities and these events. It's such a nice place to be. I mean, I'd rather live in the magic than not.
Yes, absolutely. And what I share all the time is that it teaches you that everything happens for a reason. Even if at the time you have no clue why it's happening and it seems like it's totally random and chaotic, there is order within it. And often you won't know it right away, right? You won't know it until you look back or until you move through it, and then you realize, okay, this is what was getting me here, or this is why this happened, or this is what I learned from it. But once you start seeing that in your past, which is what I teach people how to do, you have so much more faith that when something happens, like I always, no matter what it might be that comes up for me, I always say to myself, okay, this is not fun, and this is I wish this was not happening, but it's happening. So if it's happening for a reason, and I just have to trust that not only am I going to get through it and be okay, but I'm probably going to be led to something or somewhere that I'm supposed to go. And it sort of takes the sting out of craziness that happens to us, right? I always say it gives a little bit of certainty in the complete and total uncertainty that we face every day. Because the certainty is no matter what, I'm going to be okay because I've been okay in the past and because I trust that everything happens for a reason. And that literally shifts everything.
I love that. Well, you touched on something that I like to dive into, and that's chaos. So I know a lot of people are going through chaos right now. In your book, you talk about taming the chaos. What is that all about? Why is that important?
Yes, I literally have an entire chapter on taming the chaos because it's so pivotal for anything, whether you're trying to manifest something in your life, whether you're trying to open up to the signs and synchronicities, if you're trying to heal your body in some way, whatever you're trying to do, the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm, the anxiety is preventing you from getting there. So taming the chaos is important for every area of a life, including opening up to signs and synchronicities. So I always say to people that I find that I classify chaos into two different sections. The first section is external chaos. So external chaos is, like I said before, how I call in Archangel Michael so that I don't absorb other people's energy. External chaos is watching the news, scrolling through social media and taking on other people's stuff and all the scary stuff that you see. The people that you're living with, the people that you're working with, even going to a grocery store, the people and the places that you go, we take on that energy. There's actually a scientific term called emotional contagion that has proved that you can literally take on other people's stuff. So we do it, and we do it unknowingly, and sometimes we get in a bad mood and we don't even know why, and it's not even our stuff. So that's the first thing, is that we take on external chaos. And thanks to the global internet and TV and all of that, we take it on globally now. It's not even just on our own little world. So that's the first piece of chaos. The second piece of chaos is the internal stuff, which is our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotions that sort of come up and we drive ourselves crazy, right? So not only do we have that going on inside of us, but now we have all this stuff coming at us from outside of us. If we don't learn how to tame that, if we don't learn how to get back to the present moment, everything is going to just stay in that crazy, chaotic way. And again, the body can't heal in chaos. You're not going to notice signs and synchronicity because they're happening in the present moment, and chaos takes you out of the present moment. So, and again, for manifesting, if you're in chaos, you're not going to be manifesting these amazing, wonderful things that you want to bring into your life. So the cool thing about this is that it doesn't have to take a lot to tame the chaos. I'm all about short, quick, simple, fast, easy things I can do that I can incorporate into my day so that I can tame some of that chaos, get back to the present moment, feel more grounded, feel more centered, so that when chaos happens around me, it doesn't throw me as much. And so that's what I have an entire chapter on, all these different sort of tools and techniques. The best and easiest one that I always tell people to start with is what I call a 60-second retreat. So I always say, like, people who are adverse to meditation, people who don't want to do mindfulness, everybody has 60 seconds. Everybody has 60 seconds. Go into the bathroom if you need to get away from your kids. Close your eyes for a second at work. Do it when you get into the car before you drive. Like anybody, before you even get out of bed in the morning, take your 60 seconds. So all you have to do for a 60-second retreat is close your eyes, take a deep breath, and then repeat, only for a minute, a phrase such as release. I like the word release because I feel like you're literally triggering your mind and body to release the stress and release the chaos. Or you can do any word that sort of means something to you, or I like the phrase, all is well, I am safe. All is well, I am safe. And you just sort of do this for 60 seconds, and then you open your eyes and you go back to what you're doing. What that does is it stops the insanity happening inside of you and outside of you. It gives you that retreat away, like a mini vacation. It's only 60 seconds, but even in that 60 seconds, you're retraining your mind and you are resetting yourself and you're bringing yourself back to the present moment, which is where all the signs are happening. And again, there's been scientific studies that show that small bursts of mindfulness or meditation work to retrain the brain, to calm things down just as well as if you'd sat and did it all in one session. So if you can just start off taking 3 or 4 of those 60-second breaks throughout the day, set an alarm on your phone if you have to, you will start noticing a difference. And again, everybody has these 60 seconds, right? I'm not saying sit down for 20 minutes or you have to meditate, you have to get up at 5 in the morning so that you can meditate. These are things you can take throughout your day. So that's just one example, but I talk about so many different ways that you can do it. But it's so essential to really, like I said, everything. It's like the jumping off point for everything.
And how important is that? And I know you give lots of other examples that people can have, like these little retreats. You talk about mindful walking, belly breathing, earthing. You've got lots of other things. So if one isn't quite resonating today, they can try something else.
Oh, yeah, there's essential oils in there. I have a bunch of other techniques, different crystals, so many different things that you can do to ground yourself, all of which are quick and easy and can be taken with you and really do make a difference.
I think I have time for one more question here. We've had so much fun. We haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg here with your book. I mean, it's got so much great information. You talk about, in your book, you talk about reaching a higher vibration. How was that like for you? When you got to this point where it's like, wow, okay, I can feel that I'm getting to this place of being in a higher resonance. How did that feel
Yes.
for you? And what was that like?
Well, what I find with higher vibration is it's really something that you have to, it's a maintenance process, right? You have to, we can all have these elevated moments, but the goal is to try and bring ourselves back there as much as we can, right? You're never going to live there forever because we live in the physical world where there's distractions and there's chaos and there's all of that that's going to pull us out. The goal is to recognize we're out and to pull ourselves back in. So for me, I find that when I can maintain it for longer periods of time, when I can remind myself to go back to it, that's when I'm more in flow. That's when the opportunities come to me. That's when things sort of happen easy, where it's like, oh my gosh, I was just looking for this and it popped up. Or, oh my gosh, this is, I wanted to start doing this and here's my opportunity. And things just start flowing and answers come to you and doors open for you and you're feeling good and you start bringing goodness into your life and you start getting more unexpected miracles and surprises in your life, whether it's an unexpected check or it's, like I said, some type of an opportunity, or all of a sudden your boss decides to give you an extra week off. I mean, who knows? But that's when things just start sort of flowing in. Now, it doesn't mean that there's not chaos around you, and it doesn't mean that there's not things that happen that are not that you're not happy about, but it just means that you handle it from a different space. And the higher that you can get in terms of the vibration, the more in flow, the more that you find you're not shaken as much. So if something drops out in my life, I say, oh my gosh, but I don't stay in that space for like weeks at a time. I say, oh my gosh, and then I'm like, okay, this is happening for a reason, and I'm going to bring myself back up. And then maybe an hour later I drop back down, and I'm like, nope, I'm going to go back up. And so it just becomes this sort of, it's like you have this tool, and okay, I need to raise myself again because that's where I'm feeling good. And that's your barometer, really, is how are you feeling? People always say, well, how do I know where I'm vibrating? And I say, well, how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling content? Are you bored? Are you sad? Where are you on that sort of scale of emotion? And that will tell you where you're vibrating. And I give so many tools on how to quickly and easily raise yourself back up. Because again, we're never going to live, it's hard to live there because we live in this physical world, but there's so many little tiny things that we can do to bring ourselves back up so that we can remember what it's like. And then you want to go back there. You're like, oh, I don't want to feel like this. This isn't good. Let me get myself back. And once you get yourself back, then it's like, okay, everything's flowing again. And now I'm noticing these signs because our loved ones, the angels, they live at this high vibration, right? So I always say every medium I've ever interviewed, when I ask them, how does this work? They always say to me, well, I have to raise my vibration and your loved ones on the other side have to lower theirs so that we can meet in the middle, so that I can get their messages. Every medium I've ever spoke to says it's all about raising your vibration and them lowering theirs. So the higher your vibration, the more you're apt to notice those signs that are coming in. And the side effect of that is that you feel good. And that's the best part. So you're feeling good, signs are coming in, you're manifesting what you want. There's so many amazing things happening. And again, it's easier than you think. There's just these little tools that you can do to take with you in your life, in your little spiritual toolbox that can help you maintain that level. And it's not as difficult as people think, and it doesn't take as much time as people think.
Well, let's say you're having a super crummy day and you're just, it's not happening, nothing's going right. Can you use gratitude to help get you to that place where you're starting to get into that flow?
Yes, one of the exercises I always teach people, I say boost your mood in 3 minutes or less. And even if you have to boost your mood every hour in 3 minutes or less on some days, that's fine. But it starts with that release technique, right? Or that retreat technique, the 60-second retreat, where you just close your eyes, you get rid of everything, and then you're going to end that 60 seconds with gratitude in some way. So it could be gratitude about anything going on in your life. If you're worried about a specific area, you could try and find gratitude about that relationship or your career or about money or about whatever it might be that you are focused on. So sort of switching to that gratitude. So noticing I'm not in this great space. What am I thinking about? What am I doing to myself? Then releasing those through that 60-second release, and then moving into gratitude. And another thing that I always address, like a bonus tip for those who worry, because I'm a Virgo and I'm a worrier. I always find myself going back, and I have to remind myself, nope, I'm not going to do this. So I just basically say surrendering your worries to spirit. So at the end of those 60 seconds, if you want to do gratitude or you want to do the worry thing, I literally will list out everything that I might be concerned about going on right now, and I literally hand it on a silver platter over to spirit. And I say, here's the stuff that I'm worried about. I'm giving it over to you because you know more than me, and I'm going to allow you to handle it, and I'm going to let go. And even if I have to do that 15 times a day, if if there's something going on, I tell people it doesn't matter. You just keep surrendering it over. You keep surrendering it over, knowing that the answers, the solutions, the opportunities to solve that worry will come to you. So those are a couple of things, a couple of quick things that people can do if they are finding themselves in that lower space or they're finding themselves trapped in worry and chaos. Gratitude and surrendering the worries and marrying that with that 60-second, let me get rid of it all. Amazing, amazing things can come from that.
Well, Tammy, I mean, my goodness, we could talk forever. There's so much great stuff you have in The Universe is Talking to You. Absolutely fabulous book. Where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community?
Yes. So you can go to tammymastroberte.com. That's mastroberte.com. And they can actually get a free, my top tool, 2 tips for taming the chaos there, and just find out so much more information about me and get signed up for, classes and different things that I teach. And I send out a weekly newsletter with a new YouTube video every week teaching about something, so they can find me on my YouTube channel as well. I'm always, sending out free content and videos to help people with all the different concepts that I teach on. And then, of course, I'm on Facebook. Instagram is at Elevated Tammy. So you can find me all of those places as well. But tammymastroberte.com is a great resource for a lot of information and to get those top 2 tools to tame the chaos in your life.
Well, Tammy, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I love talking about this, so it makes my day.
Well, Tammy, it's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new book, The Universe is Talking to You. Tap into signs and synchronicity to reveal magical moments every day. If you'd like to connect with Tammy, you can, again, at her website, tammymastroberte.com, for more information. The Universe is Talking to You is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all indie bookstores, and of course you can get it on Kindle. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in. You're listening to Moments with Marianne. And remember, make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Moments with Marianne airs every Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.